Well. Good afternoon, West Ham fans. Russ on the West Ham Network, not in the bunker, relaxing on the sofa in the drawing room of the Budden residence. Young Bella's there. She's sitting on. She's had enough. She's been watching West Ham. Look, she's fallen asleep. I thought just different venue. Why not? I want to talk to you today about obviously Moyes because I think that's what everyone talks about at the moment. And I've had time to reflect, really, thinking about yesterday. Yesterday was a rather strange day, having just done, we'd had some may see it as a good draw against Freiburg, some may see it as a disappointing draw. But we had the draw against Freiburg in terms of the last 16 in the Europa League. David Moyes at his press conference ahead of the Brentford game. And obviously, when we're doing the press conference, we take the transcript from the official website. One thing they forgot to allude to, or they mentioned in the official website, was a question about David Moyes' contract status, in which he said, which was then reported by subsequently every bloody media outlet of any sporting news accounted to it for the rest of the evening, it seemed, with every bulletin they had, that Moyes said, there's a contract for me. It's ready. I'm not going to sign it to the end of the summer, the end of the season. I want to make sure it's right for me, right for the club, right for my family. I've had 4 fantastic years at West Ham. I want to see it through with a really good success. All the boilerplate stuff when he talks about his contract and talks about his time at West Ham. And it rubbed a lot of people up the wrong way. And I've listened to people talking, their people's opinions. I was at a great player event last night with myself, my brother, and Paul Flower, subscriber to the West Ham Network. He won tickets at the half-time game. We did. Was it? I can't remember what it was, but he won tickets. So it's great to meet Paul. It was E13 events, Ian, great event with Jimmy Walker and Colton, and I was there early. So me and Jim sat down for a pint for like 20 minutes or so, just talking about the situation. It was interesting to get his thoughts as well, and Colton's thoughts as well about Moyes. And I was listening to I think it was Gonzo did a great video, I thought, about it as well. I've been sort of evaluating all the different possibilities of him saying that and what it would mean, and because I think it's a lot more calculated than I originally gave Moyes credit for. Now, I'm not assuming that he's 100% lied. There's no contract for him. I don't think that's the case. Come the end of the season, there's 2 options. One, he signs a new deal. One, someone else signs a new deal. That's the only option. 50-50. That's all you're getting. In the summer, this last summer just gone, they had 3 options and they picked the worst one. I let him just carry on the current contract. They could have offered him a new deal. Some would have hated that, but it would have been at least some sort of longevity, timelines to work towards. Or they could have let him go, and would have brought in a new manager in the summer. That was that summer. Now we're in a different situation, and I'm sure you're more aware of what happened. Just saying about his contract and stuff like that. I'm not sure I understand. In terms of the contract itself, I think there is some sort. This is again. No knowledge, no ITK, no rumor bullshit, nothing like that. Just my thoughts. I think there would be there is a contract available for him, but I don't think it's a contract that Moyes really wants to sign. And I think it's a contract which is heavily favoured towards the club, heavily favoured towards Tim Steindl, and that's not what Moyes wants. Which is why he hasn't signed it. Because, in all honesty, for someone who's been around for 1,000 or so, managed 1,000, first team games, he would be stupid to not sign a new deal if it was available to him. Purely for the compensation. come the summer, West Ham could tell him to fuck off, and he gets no money for that. If the deal was available to him on his terms, he would have signed that contract already. I think the deal isn't something that he wants. I think the whole idea of him not necessarily holding the club to ransom, but sort of saying, look, I'm going to evaluate in the summer, make sure it's right. I think he's hoping for a semi-successful end to the season. That's the word. The last quarter of the season. Potentially, we could, a few wins, get back into those European places quite easily. 8th, realistically, should be enough for Europe, based on how Liverpool get on later on. But even that, I was listening to a Kieran Maguire podcast, and he was saying actually it's going to cost Chelsea more money to actually be in the conference than not be in the conference, based on the level of competition, the TV money, how many bonuses they have to pay, and things like that. So actually, it might be worth them actually not being in the conference. So maybe they do give it to another league place. I can't see it happening, but it was an interesting idea. Because obviously the FFP, they can't even they couldn't sack Poch, because that had put me into FFP sanctions even more than the 150 charges they already have, or something like that. I think come the end of the season, if Moyes had a relatively successful end to the season, maybe to the latter stages of the Europa League. Again, this is just not saying this is what I think is going to happen, but that and a decent end to the season, finishing in the top 8, maybe 7 or 8. He would then have more negotiating clout to go back to the board and say, actually, I don't want this contract. I've proven, X, Y, and Z. I want basically a renewal of my current deal, not this new first team coach contract. That's not what I want. And then that would be the decision of the club to do. But by what he's doing now is he's set up his stall, he's shown his hand, which is not very much like Moyes. We know he's he keeps a very close-knit company, if that makes sense. And we've had this play out in the media since October. October, November time, Talk Sport, I think it's BBC, I think Jim White, obviously we know who Jim White's mate is, announcing that West Ham will not renew David Moyes' contract. That was rebuffed in about a week. Then I think sort of December time, things were looking good. West Ham are going to probably offer him a new deal in the summer. Then it sort of went, oh, maybe we're not. And then it was like, well, maybe Tim's looking at people alternatives already. Baldhaven can turn things round, things like that. And then Moyes comes out yesterday and said, actually, there's a contract there for me. So it's been like this. It's played out for the media, and Moyes is continuing to play it out in the media. There's a reason why he said that in a press conference with, the world's media there. In all honesty, it must be on. I've been on every news site yesterday, every broadcaster, Sky Sports, Talk Sport, BBC. It was on all of them, all the newspapers, about David Moyes saying that it's his decision if he's going to sign a new deal. It seems, it's almost like he's put the power back in the decision. Some may say it's the act of a desperate man. Gonzo, as I said yesterday, did a great show and spoke about this whole thing being like death by 1,000 cuts. It does going to seem like that. I think we're going to get a similar situation over the next 3 months where it's going to be a little bit tit for tat, which isn't good for the relationship. To me, it does seem like it's coming to the end and it's a last hurrah. Moyes knows he's got media darlings. The media loves Moyes. He's old school. All the pundits are relatively old school as well. So they've got his back when it comes to things. I mean, I was watching it yesterday, listening to TalkSport. Ben Foster's on there talking about what a great job he's done. And, Darren Ben and on TalkSport. And then, you look at all the other, even yesterday. So yesterday, obviously, we had, for the ex-player night, we have the talking, the chat, and then there's the break, and there's a Q&A. And most of the questions, obviously, were about more that great team goal against Wigan, and obviously Colton taking a pay cut when we went down and getting promoted in the playoffs, and question about Jimmy Walker, who apparently saved the penalty against Frank Lampard. Hadn't heard that story for the last 5 minutes. Everyone had a beer. And then there was a question at the back from a guy who maybe had a couple too many, asking about Jimmy and Colton's opinion on whether Moyes should be sacked. I thought both gave a really honest answer, and it is an honest answer, because I've heard, because although they were on stage, it was exactly the same answer we said when we were like having a chat beforehand, not off the record, but amongst friends, over a pint, not like a media day. We were just chatting about Moyes, about their views, and it was along the same lines. And then someone put his hand up, and another person put their hand up and said, and asked almost exactly the same question, for which I reckon 200 people groaned, because I think they were just as bored as everyone else is about this whole Moyes thing. And we've still got 3.5 months left of it. But I want to know your thoughts, your opinions about that, because I don't think I don't think he was lying. I think there is something. It might not be a proper contract. It could be a Tim Steindl contract. It could be a discussion on terms. It could be, there is something there. He wouldn't have said nothing. We haven't spoken about it at all. He's putting the power, trying to put the power back in himself. Some may say it's the act of a defeated man, and it could well be. The way he was talking about it in terms of the past tense and stuff like that, again, was quite telling. I think we are coming to the end of the Moyes era. But as Jimmy was saying yesterday, he's a lucky manager. And it's these types of situations where he always seems to get like a couple of results off the bounce, and it could change. It could flip-flop. It could easily flip-flop. Football is, according to some, a funny old game. It really is. I don't think any of us thought realistically, when David Moyes took over for the second time, we would be in a situation where we'd got 3 European qualifications back to back, where we've won 3 lots of group stages back to back, where we've finished the semi-final, we've won a bloody tournament, and we're in the latter stages of a third tournament in consecutive times. I don't think we ever assumed we were going to do a 6th and a 7th back to back, but we have. Football can be a funny old game, and the trouble is, it's going to be all played out in the media. It's going to be all played out in the media. I would fully expect on Monday, on the Jim White show, there'll be some sort of announcement from Sullivan, Monday, Tuesday, in terms of this, because that's the type of it's a type of debate that, particularly with us playing on Monday night as well, West Ham and Brentford will be top of the pile in terms of discussion on Monday because of the game. And I could well see them having some sort of, not exclusive, but something will be played out, and it's going to go back and forth. And that's not going to help anyone. Doesn't help us as fans. It doesn't help the players. Doesn't help Moyes. Doesn't help Steindl. Doesn't help the board. Doesn't help the new manager, a new coach coming in. Doesn't help anyone at all. And that's the trouble. Who's it really affecting? It's affecting the players and it's affecting the fans. Well, there we go. We're doing a bit of preview and stuff ahead of the Brentford game. But I really want to find out your comments about this because not just I don't want to because obviously it's all we're gonna get boys. I don't want those comments. I want to find out about how you felt after you heard that announcement yesterday, that sort of statement from Moyes. What? How did how did you feel? What did you think that was all about? Do you think he was lying? Do you think there is a contract? Do you think there's a contract, but it's not the one he wants? Do you think he's trying to play this out in the media? Do you think he's just being naive? I don't know. I don't know. What I think we might do is do a reacts to all the comments from today's video because I think it's a bigger discussion point than one fat bloke talking in front of a in front of the camera, sitting on the sofa with his dog there. Well, not very much for a dog, is it? Look at the size of her. Anyway, until then, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, enjoy the rest of your weekend. West Ham can't ruin it this weekend, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care. Bye bye.